Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Ben and thank you for joining me for my team into round 5. It's been a bit of a whirlwind. The buys are over, which means any hole you have in your team will now be exposed, and there's nothing better than exposing some holes. So, cheers to you. This is a little bit different here. Got my wife just hanging over here. Cheers. Currently, at the moment, we are at Coolangatta. So a little bit different. I'm going to have to kind of read my team off my phone at the moment, but I feel like it's a little bit better than having nothing out there at all. So we'll see how we go as far as if anyone gets up on the line. If you are coming in, please do put out a comment and let me know what you're thinking for this week. Currently waiting for Chris and Swiss to maybe be available. We'll see how we go, but this is where we are at. So cheers. Absolute monster fishbowl here. Shout out Harvey as well for joining in. So currently ranked, I scored 2,062, ranked 293rd overall, which I'm pretty happy with. It would have been a lot better, and I'll go through the changes that I've made into my side a little bit. Shout out to Sam8944 as well. Wife comes first, so cheers to you. Well done.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And that's her career online, off the line, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so I would have had a much better score, although I'm not sure which night it was. It was probably Saturday. I had this really great thought. 5 minutes before the bounce, I thought, you know what? No one's going to be on Cherry captain. And I thought, that'll be great. No one's on him. So I took it off Whitfield. And I put it on Cherry because I thought, no one will have him. His name, so he must be fine. Grundy's leaked like 110, 115 points to other ruckmen. And that was a horrible idea. So obviously don't have a couple of drinks and choose your sides. But that cost me about 53 points, which means instead of being ranked 293, I'd probably be well inside the first, 200 or probably even higher, to be honest. 53 points at this neck of the woods is pretty high. Wine today, whiskey maybe in a little bit global, so shout out to you as well. The problem with holidays and anniversaries, 1 year wedding anniversary yesterday, is that I had a couple of day drinks today, but we'll see how we go. So 2062, it's been a little bit of a challenging period. I've also, not going to lie, I've kind of cracked it a little bit at some Supercoach creators like Chris. You know, everyone knows better. It's Humphrey didn't do well, and Chris is like, oh, I told you so. And I'm like, yeah, but you also had Bice on your bench. You also brought in Sam DeConing and other people. So no one knows. We guess. And then I hate the I told you so. It's like I've been warning you forever. But yeah, so Humphrey, I did bring into my side this week. So I'll run you back through because I didn't post last week. With my side. So the change I made in the first round, obviously, was I O'Driscoll into my side. Then I've kept, Horn Francis. I kept Sheasel, which was great for those that did keep them in their sides. I did make a change last week. I wanted to get rid of some of the expensive rookies because I felt like I couldn't really trust Finn O'Sullivan on fields. I couldn't really trust a few other people on fields. So I wanted to free up some cash. And I wanted to Swizz getting me back for the team pod. Swizz, eat your bloody dinner, mate, and then you'll come later. All right? Nah, Swizz said he's eating dinner, so this is my turn, my live first. Swizz can come later. But the one thing I did do is I got rid of, say, Sardis. I got rid of Finn O'Sullivan. I got rid of Perryman. I brought in Whitfield. I brought in some other people that I was looking at as well. I brought in Bice. I brought in Bice last week. I brought in Lindsay, who was the other cheaper option, and then I brought in Whitfield. So that's been really good for me. Perryman obviously did well this week, but I don't really rate him long term. And at that point in the season, it looked like freeing up cash was the way to go because I didn't want $200,000 players on the bench when there were guys, like a Moraes that were doing the same job but cheaper. So that's kind of where I was at. Now, things have changed slightly. The week just gone, I thought, okay, I wanted to double down. So you had the Humphrey, you had Marriage, you had a few other options that were there. I already went Bice, which hurt me because I didn't actually get Connor O'Sullivan. I wanted to, but I couldn't get Whitfield if I got him, and it was wet at the Gabba, so I thought a defender, he's not going to go well. got blessed with Stewart being injured, got blessed again with another player being injured as well. Henry got injured in defense, so therefore 2 games that he's having bulk role in defense helped his scoring huge. So that sucks. Like, if you have Connor O'Sullivan, good job for you. That's a big shout out. Yeah, and that's kind of how I structured up my side. So this week, the trades were, I think I got rid of Hewitt, so I got rid of some dead weight. So Nevitt wasn't doing me well, and I got rid of Hewitt. Now, I wanted to keep Hewitt because I could loophole him and use him as a player that I could kind of see what a bench player scores and then maybe, be able to loop off. But he did a calf on Thursday, so therefore it was like 2 weeks before he could come back in, which hurts. Let me just get Swizz's comment on here. So that hurts. So therefore I thought, okay, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Stone had a really good dream team to Supercoach ratio the week before. So, okay, he didn't do well in Supercoach. He got a lot of points in fantasy. So therefore, hopefully he puts it in conversion against the West Coast, get some ball, get some cheap points. And he was horrible, like stalled out 160K, horrible, which hurts. So now I'm kind of regretting that choice, but I kept Sam Pepper. He did well enough to bank me some cash, and my team's looking good. I mean, I started Ryan. I've got plenty of good players generating cash, plenty of good people on field. I just don't have Connor O'Sullivan. I don't have, cover like Hall did okay. There's a few others I don't have, but otherwise I think I'm still sitting quite good at the moment. Which leaves me to a few different bits and pieces here. Swizz, mate, just quit the heckling. Do I have the best hair in Supercoach? No, I do not. And look, you got my wife here just sitting there being involved, just looking at the comments. Yeah, so I'm happy I kept Torn Francis. I'm happy I kept Sheasel. I was trying to just upgrade around them, making sure I had the best money-making options. So I did bring in Marich and I did bring in Humphrey, and I brought in Moraes. Now, it was mainly to kind of almost double down because I felt like Humphrey, this was the tough week against Adelaide. Next week, North Melbourne, then they're playing Richmond. So I feel like he'll go really well on those 2 matchups. His role was hindered a little bit. But I think it was because, you had, your Rankins, you had your Saligios, the dynamic midfielders that were really fast moving. So I think Tuke Miller went to them because he's a little bit more accountable, probably has more speed of foot. So Humphrey's CBAs did kind of cop it a little bit for those matchups. Whereas the week before, your Olivers, your Petrakis, your Vineys, the bigger body, smaller guys, I think Humphrey had a way better role for that game. And he had some opportunities, he just didn't do it as well. So look, I'm hoping that it's not a complete backfire, which is also why I kind of doubled down on doing both of them, so Marich as well as Humphrey, because I felt like one was going to go well. So hedge your bets a little bit. And I didn't go Sam de Koning. I didn't do all these other 50-50s like your Frasers. I stayed true. I stayed put. And I felt like this was my chance to take a risk because I hadn't risked the other people. So far, so good. Look, I think it'll be interesting. Humphrey, he did make a lot of cash. I've still got a couple of weeks to go. And I think there's still a lot of movement to be played. But at the moment, I am sitting really good with my ranking, so just under 300. We're getting into the bulk of it now. So obviously you can't see my team at the moment, so I'll just run you through real quickly. So I've got a bit deeper in defense, Whitfield, Sheasel, Clark, Roberts. And then I've got Trainer, Patton, Reed, and Bice. Now, Patton, I want to get off the field when a rookie shows up. I might sideways, or I might just use him as a forward defender swing. So like a Nick Martin, if he gets cheap enough, could be really good as an F7 and a D7, so I could sort of swing them through there to kind of get them. Some people are also asking, so like Cameron as well, is it too late to get on a Connor O'Sullivan? It's a good question. If anyone saw me saying last week, I hate overpaying for people. Henry being out does help, right? So Connor O'Sullivan, 268K. He's already made 120,000. Is he going to make another 120,000 from now? Break even of minus 19. So he could. If he scores a 72, he's projected to go up 40,000. I feel like it's almost a little too late. His two out of his last 3 games were spiked because of the sub was a defender. So it makes it easier for him to score well in that sense. I think he's great. He plays like a 50 gamer, but do you want to spend $120,000 more than a lot of other people got him? I'm not so keen. Now, Bice, on the other hand, is cheap enough. And with his big score as well, he's 200,000. So you could go down to him if you don't have him. It's hard to know because one poor score, he rocks out at 50 and then you're stalled in the ground and you've lost all capital. You're not making any money and you've kind of just burned a trade for nothing. And then everyone that's made the cash will jump off and you're there hoping to kind of, pick up some later money, which just doesn't work. So sometimes you just have to let them go. If you have money already being made on the bench, you just kind of make it happen. And I think that's where you just kind of need to go for that as well. So into the midfield. Now, Jono is talking about this one as well. So not only Sarong was horrible going into halftime, not horrible, 47 Supercoach. And I was like, mate, what are you doing? You're playing Bulldogs that are undermanned. And then the second half, he just got to work. Like he racked up 38 touches for the game. Clearance machine was everywhere and just went from, being 47 and looking okay to getting another 100 score. Just absolutely smashed out like a 140, overtook everyone. Was unreal. So speaking of unreal, this wine is pretty good.
That's quite correct.
Chin chin. Yeah. So the thing that I hate at the moment with my side, so Brayshaw is also really good. Rosie was kind of always going to be a temporary play for me. He scored 130s the first couple games, sputtered up last week, sputtered up this week. So I feel like he just has to go. But for me, it's about, do I bring in a defender? Do I bring in a forward? What do I do with this money? Right. So I'm pretty happy at the moment to maybe look at a midfielder, if not now, very soon. So it's just about whether you make that play. So someone talking about, Sarong. So Jono Sarong's coming in for this week. Really good play. I think he's a reasonable price at $590K. So really good and a great captain call as well, Binger. So I think if you have TDK and you have Sarong or you have Brayshaw, the easiest VCNC you'll make this week. Don't do what I did and change your captain 5 minutes before a game because it's horrible. Whitfield smashed it. Should have backed him in. Should have kept it. Everyone that was telling to be careful about Zorko being subbed out, he wasn't subbed. He just didn't do that well. So we'll see how we go. But, yeah, there's Rosie's crazy. Same as, JHF killed it. With, Butters back in the side. The issue with Rosie still got tagged. Rosie can't handle attention. As soon as someone stands on him, he just absolutely, he becomes Butter, which is funny because his name's Rosie, not Butters. But I just don't like, he's got a good ceiling, but the floor is now no longer there. He gets tagged, he gets you a 60. It's just not good, right? So he did his job for a bit. Obviously, I should have got McCluggage instead of him. Brisbane Lions player McCluggage has been killing it, averaging 120. Who knew? But yeah, so there's a few others.
120.
He's averaging 120. Yeah, it's very good. Anyway, so in my midfield at the moment, I did have Sarong, Rosie, Will Ashcroft, Chera, Oliver, Reed. So Murphy, Reed, Levi Ashcroft, Lindsay, Henderson, Moraes. And then obviously I had Stone in the forward line. There's a few other things going on there. So O'Driscoll, it's interesting, copped an ankle injury, scored only a 46, but he went off, got taped up, tried to come back on, didn't quite get going. They got kind of subbed him, or not really subbed, but he didn't go back on the field. The coach came out after the game saying pretty much they tried to get him going. He couldn't get going. So like any ankle, you try and run on it, you just can't do it anymore. And they said they'll see how he pulls up. So that's not, hey, he's injured, he's missing weeks. I see a lot of people trading him out, but it's a wait and see to kind of see how he pulls up. And seeing how he pulls up, I'm hoping Lindsay also plays soon as well for Melbourne. That would be great for those that held. I see a lot of people jumping off Henderson. Henderson, now, yes, he got a 32. Yes, it sucked. He's a forward player for Melbourne, which isn't great, right? However, I suggest you don't get rid of Melbourne players, and the reason is because coming up, they play Essendon, who can leak points in their defensive line, right? We've seen it before. Adelaide made their defense look absolutely horrible, so it could be okay. Fremantle, yes, a good defense. I'll accept that. That's probably a harder matchup for a forward to do well against Fremantle. But then they have Richmond, West Coast after that, so he's bound to have a spike game as a forward against probably two of the other crapper sides in the competition. So I'd probably suggest holding, looking for another spike score. We've seen him do it already. I mean, he scored a 72 a couple of weeks ago with some 50s. So let's just kind of see how he progresses on that. So I'm okay with holding him as long as he doesn't lose his job in the team. And Marias did well, didn't score well though, 43, but he scored better. He had more touches. He just kind of butchered it, which I expect him to get a little bit better. De Koning, Shering, and the Rock. So Gawns obviously did well for those last week. McRae, Horn, Francis, Smith, Daniel, Humphrey, Marich, Davidson, Sampal Pepper, and then O'Driscoll and Flex. So I've got a lot of depth in this side. I think it'll be good at the moment when now we're in the full 22 sort of mix up. Can't wait for DPPs to hit. So that is the new part coming up. So Houdini just came out of nowhere, which is interesting because he normally disappears. The Port have a lot of home games. Yeah, look, it's true. Like Horn Francis will be good for the home games on those who dumped him, like Chris. And I don't know if Swizz dumped Horn Francis. He probably did because it's Swizz. Hey, Swizz, there you go. He's there. Did you dump Horn Francis, Swizz? Tell us live on the chat. I think he might have. But coming up, so Adelaide Oval, Hawks, Sydney away, North at home, Mars against Bulldogs, Adelaide, Geelong at home. Look, it's okay. I don't love Port's mix-up outside of, say, North Melbourne. I think their kind of dream run's done. I mean, they played Collingwood, Richmond, Essendon, Saints, and they've been pumped a few of those. So I think that's pretty much where it's at. So Horn Francis, I think, is a really good option for that point. The other part, my trades for this week. So this will be a shorter video. I'll put out, if you're not already, SC Insider 100, go us on Twitter. I'll probably put out my trades and stuff on there. So a little bit different. Obviously, I can't kind of show you the team per se. I'll put out a screenshot on Twitter as well. But my looking for this week, and I'll get to some of these questions once I go through my team and my thoughts. This week's probably a week to sit on your hands a little bit more, unless you've got some cash, unless you've got a Rosie and someone you want to kind of move around. Or there's not many people on the bubble that really interest me, except if you got rid of Sardis like me and now are changing your mind, which is okay because a couple of weeks ago, Parrish looked like he was coming back in. He did an injury. He's going to miss 2 weeks. And I thought, well, I don't want a guy sitting there not earning money for 2 weeks. His time on ground is shot. Parrish is coming back in. And he could do well, but also I didn't like watching him play. So I just dumped him, going for the short-term grab. Plus, then it gave me 2 more weeks of data to see how the rest of my team did. To see, because I thought Nevitt was going to be on field. I thought a few of these other players were going to do well, but that kind of fell through. Nevitt I dumped because of plantar fascia in his foot. Got subbed the one before that. This one was out because of plantar fascia. They put him emergency. If they play him, I do imagine it'll be managed minutes or he'll get subbed or be sub just while they manage that foot injury. So even though I think he's good and they see him best 22, he's a liability. And now that we're getting into best 22, there's not, it's not the best 18 where you get covered. And if someone gets injured or they get subbed out, you don't cop the full heat of it. He's now a risk, which means he's a bench option anyway. And he'll probably be a long burn. And I'm trying to get short-term gains to kind of keep progressing forward. So Sardis, I've changed my mind. Now, the reason being is that Caldwell did a hammy. He's out at the moment. Apparently, Parrish, I think, might be a little bit sore. So he's kind of delayed a little bit. So I'm trying to find out if Sardis is in and is he coming back into that side? Because if he is and Caldwell's out, they kind of now need him to play more time on ground, which makes it more viable. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up for this week as far as naming the sides. On top of that, they play Melbourne, West Coast, Collingwood, North of the next 4. So there's 3 really good matchups for a mid. And even then, Collingwood mid's league points. So I'd say 4 good matchups, which means that I'm actually looking at dumping Stone. He's gone stone cold. He's horrible. He's done, right? The only thing coming for Stone is the DPP going from forward to actually putting him into defense. I don't even want him in my defensive line. I don't want him at all. Like we call him Steve Austin. He's stone cold. He's gone. We don't want him. So, yeah, I'm thinking Stone to Sardis and have someone that actually can play on field, can generate points. Sardis will be good for the next few weeks when, say, a Murphy Reid or a Levi Ashcroft can push forward with the DPP. So that's the way I'm looking at. And then for Rosie, I can't afford a Sinclair or a Zorko. I don't have them. I don't really want to pay up over 600s. Wanganeen Millera in defence for 550, I think is very appealing, averaging, I think, 110. Is he going to maintain that? I don't know. Saints are winning. They're using him a lot. He's very damaging as far as a player, so I don't know if they're going to keep him in that role or that spot. I think it kind of comes down to the midfield. So I like Rankin, but he did calf was sore. I think they put a few others through there. If his calf's sore, I don't think they're going to run him through the mid as much. So see how he pulls up. Adelaide's draw also I find a little bit more challenging. Not saying it's bad, I'm just saying challenging, whereas it's not a favourable matchup like some others. So therefore, I'm actually looking at Brayshaw or Neil, and I'm leaning towards Brayshaw just based on who they're playing at the moment. Richmond, Melbourne, Adelaide, Saints, Collingwood. I do worry about GWS. Can I hedge my bets and put in a Brayshaw and a Sarong? One of them's going well, right? So it's just a matter about who. Then they play Port, who we've just seen them leak some big points and just not run as strong defensively. And that'll be at home as well against Port Adelaide. Then Gold Coast, North, Essendon, Saints again. So I think it is really favourable for Freo for their midfielders. Brayshaw, I wanted preseason. I should have got him preseason. He's doing well. So I think Brayshaw at the moment, I'm thinking about paying up for before I can't afford him. Whereas, say, Lockie Neal, I should be able to maybe try and go one up, one down in a couple of weeks' time. But then it makes it hard because I'm also looking, DPP, Petraka, I could put in the forward line. I still don't have Rankin in the forward line. Do I want to do that in a couple of weeks' time instead? Now, I am weaker in defense. And the reason is, right, I'm okay with it for a couple of weeks. I'm waiting for maybe if Zorko drops another poor score, then maybe I can bring him into my side a little bit cheaper, right? So Bice, I think, is great to kind of keep in that F6, D6 spot. I think Zach Reid will dominate against Melbourne, and I think we've seen a lot of defenders against the taller Melbourne forwards get a lot of possession, so I'm okay with maybe playing a Reid. Trainer as well the last couple of weeks has been really surprising. He's developed into that role really well in that defensive line, a 90 and an 82 the last 2 weeks. So I could do a lot worse than not play one of those guys. Whereas, Davidson, we've seen he'll knock out a 50, he'll knock out a 120. It's hard to know. Like any forward, it's really role dependent, where I think defenders, I know I can now rely on Bice to be on field. So Reid/Trainer kind of flip between them. And ideally, in a perfect world, Sydney won't play first or second game and actually give me a chance to loophole just for a couple of weeks. So that's where I'm kind of looking at that part as well. So I'm looking at Brayshaw and Sardis into my side, which should give me a really strong listing with De Koning VC and Sarong as C. And no offense, I can't wait to own Brayshaw and Sarong. And I think Brayshaw works through a tag pretty well. Neil at the moment just gives up on a tag. I've got Ashcroft, who's averaging more, by the way, which is awesome. Shout out to Will Ashcroft. So he'll peak in price soon enough. Once he gets to 550, I might move him on to someone else. It'll be interesting to kind of see where that is. Meza worth a shout out with his upcoming games. Meza. Who's Meza? Mezzanine? Let's have a look. A few little comments here. Let me just check it out. Callahan to Sarong and Stone to Sardis. It depends. If you started Callahan and you don't like him, get rid of him. If you've traded in Callahan, it kind of sucks because you're getting someone in with the high ceiling thinking they're going to be awesome. It's like a Will Day. Has a couple of bad rounds. Do you just dump him? Do you wait for another spike game to get him back over 500s and then dump him? It's interesting. But if you've had enough and you want to cut ties and go, yeah, I'm just going to burn 2 trades, then get rid of it. Otherwise, I think you might just have to hold him for a bit. And Houdini, shout out too. So Sardis as well, going up from Stone. Yeah, I'm going Stone too. And I think it's the play. If you had him, feel free to get rid of him, I think. So, hold Ashcroft till his buy. That is also very valid. I think Lions have the last buy, so it could be a goer. Just depends. I think he looks good enough to kind of scrape some good scores with a high ceiling, which we know he has. So I think he's definitely someone you could look at keeping until you have a full side and a full complement. You could do worse and have him at M9 as well, though, to be honest. So I think there's definitely a lot of value there. Lindsay a test this week if he gets through training. So let's see how that goes. Here we go. Let me just go back to Aria. Aria Stark. Who should I trade out of Hugo Garcia, Finn Callaghan, and Joel Frazier? 2 out of the 3, and who? And for who? I have 10K in the bank. Ooh. It depends on who you have on your bench. Like if you have a Sardis, so if you don't have Sardis, that could be an easy one. One up, one down. I'd say Garcia and Frazier would be the first 2 I'd get out. Just based on stealing, you need points on field. I still think Callaghan can have a really good impact and score some big stealing games. Garcia's had a couple of good games, so I don't know what his break even is, which is probably the harder part because I feel like Garcia's had a couple of good games without tracking him because I don't own him. Let me just see. Garcia, 269K, break even at 9. So, yeah. Look, Garcia's got a break even at 9, so I'd maybe keep him. Frazier's about to get defensive status. So, Frazier, he's dropped cash with a break even of 115, so he can go. So, Frazier out. And that's the problem with risking these players. Sometimes you just need to get rid of them. You're not after Callum Brown, you're after Callaghan. And Callaghan, break even at 137. So he could now start to drop some cash as well. Oh, he's actually cheaper than the start of the season, which hurts for those who brought him in thinking that, hey, he'll make a big cash grab. So glad I didn't trade out Will Ashcroft for Callaghan. Thank you, Richmond, for the upcoming buy and allowed me to keep him. 144, 104, 55, 72, Saints, Adelaide, Bulldogs, Sydney, Geelong, Fremantle, Carlton. Oh, man, they got Richmond, West Coast coming back again later, but that doesn't help considering he scored 72 against West Coast just gone. Yeah, that's I'd probably say the Callaghan and the Frazier just because of their break even then. Try and go up to a premium you don't have that's affordable and a rookie that you don't have as well. So I think that's probably about it. The other one as well, let me just check. Someone did say something about Saligio. Brian, Saligio. Can he keep it going? I like him. I don't think so. For the main reason, consistency is key. We've seen that Callaghan had a good couple of rounds. Consistency is hard when you're a prime ball winner in the midfield. Backing it up week in and week out is really hard. Now, what we've seen previously in a lot of seasons, the first 4, 5, 6 weeks, teams can do what they want. They run on the outside, their game style works, and teams kind of back in their style. And then it's usually around now, after about 4 rounds of getting towed up. So they'll play Adelaide and they'll go, oh, okay, we need to shut them down. We need to tag, we need to shut down, we need to play slower. And teams will actually change their style of play to kind of be more congested, to kind of try and negate what other teams are doing well. So, consistency, right? So I think that's probably going to be the big part for those players trying to actually back it up and do something as well. And taggers are a real big issue. Merritt as well off his buy, I think could be a good shout actually. So Merritt off a buy. Let me have a look with the soft draw coming. Hell yeah. Oh, maybe how much is he? That's a good shout. Merritt instead, because no one will have him. He'll be a big point of difference. Or if anyone has him, they're not going to do as well because obviously the buy they've just had. 600K, 114 break even, averaging 113. Merritt's coming in against, and as we said, Melbourne, West Coast, Collingwood, North. And that'll be the Anzac Day Collingwood game too, and Merritt usually lifts for that. Man, that's pretty good. And then, Melbourne, West Coast, Collingwood, North, Sydney. So maybe probably a tag in that point, maybe. I don't know who else they're tagging. Western Bulldogs, Richmond. Brisbane he always does well against. Averages 114.8 against Brisbane. So cheers to Brisbane for letting him do whatever he wants. And then another game against Richmond. Dude. Man, okay. So Freo have already played West Coast. But coming in, Melbourne, West Coast, dude, that's good shout. Good shout. I think, Merritt, man. Merritt's good. I like it. and he's usually a backcourt specialist, so he wouldn't be on many people. Swizz will be able to tell you how many of the 1% own merit, but it'll be interesting. So I'm just trying to see ownership. 8% of teams, dude, so good. I think you might be right. You know what? I think you just sold me. Merit is my man. And super consistent player as well. Really reliable. Oh, you're kidding. Can't afford him. If I go Sardis, I can afford him straight up. So we'll see how we go. Maybe I'll wheel and deal. Sam Darcy isn't a trap, but again, consistency for a forward. Unreal player. Absolutely unreal. I know Swizz's wife is on him as well. And Houdini as well. Last question here. So yeah, taggers are a real issue for us. Influencing decisions, yes. But draw is probably the more important factor, looking at who you're going and where, looking for soft runs, because you feel like, we've seen it already with, playing West Coast. You had Brayshaw go really well, or Richmond particularly. Yeah, Ashcroft, Neal, McCluggage, 150, 130, 130. Just absolutely unreal as well. And, it'll be really interesting. So there are a lot of other options around that 550K that I think are interesting. Noah Anderson's good. I know a lot of people jumped on Rao. That probably weren't that happy. Green as well is value, but I want to see a little bit more. Still a break even of 124, so you could wait for a Green. And what's he done since he's got back? So this was a good week for him, right? But they did play a pretty poor opponent. Callahan didn't go well, so someone was 115 against Melbourne, 89 against Hawks, 128. So look, he is also value. I don't like their draw as much though. I'd probably wait around 15. Yeah, they got a late buy to around 16. Yeah, so look, I don't know. They play Richmond, West Coast within a sort of 5-week pocket again later on. Yeah, look, he's a good price. I'll give him that. I'll give him a good price, but I don't like their draw as much. And we'll see how it goes. But anyway, that's it. I think Swizz is trying to get up on the line. So that's my team. Let me know. SC Insider 100 on Twitter as well. And or just shout out in the comments. I'll probably be more active on these comments than I have normally, just because there's no team attached. So that's it. I'll talk to you later. All right. See you soon. Bye.